This is test number 12, part 2 out of 2 study guides. We're beginning with number 14. You're instructed to graph the function. Now, we've learned 3 different ways to graph functions in here over the last couple of weeks. Our first way we graphed was to come up with 3 points and then plug in x values and get y values and plot each of those 3 points and then draw a straight line through them. That was the longest way, but it's also the safest way if you don't feel comfortable doing it another way. The second way we learned was a little bit quicker to do the x and y intercepts. It's not quite as reliable. If you do it correctly, it's just as reliable. If you make a mistake, you won't be able to tell making a mistake because you only have 2 points. And then the most recent way, starting on Monday, we started learning slope-intercept form, where when you look at your equation, it gives you the slope and it gives you the y-intercept. We're going to do it the slope-intercept form since this equation here and even the next one is in that form already, so we can see exactly what we need to do. Y equals mx plus b. It's already in that form again. So we have our value for m and we have our value for b. M tells us that it's 3 and b tells us that it's 1. Every number is considered over 1 for slope. That'll make sense in just a second when we graph it. But go ahead and create yourself a Cartesian plane. Put you a few tick marks. Some of y'all like to use graph paper. That's just fine. It's not necessary though. And we'll graph this and see what it looks like. Your B value tells you where to start. Your slope always tells you where to start. It's positive. I'm not sorry, not your slope. Your y-intercept, your B value tells you where to start. Its value is positive 1. This is your y-axis. So at positive 1 is where we're going to put our first point. That's where it tells you to start. Your slope tells you where to go from that first point. We have a positive 3. We're going either up or down based on the fact if that's positive or negative, that number. So from the point we already just made, it tells us to go up 3 more. So we're going to go up 1, 2, 3. And then our bottom number tells us to go left or right. If it's left, you're going to go negative. I'm sorry, if it's negative, you go left. If it's positive, you go right. We have a positive number, so we're going to the right 1 time. So we just went up 3 times and to the right 1 time. That's where we'll put our second point. Once you have 2 points, you can draw a line through both of them as straight as you can. Graph should look like that. If you use the method where you plugged in values, you will still get a graph that looks just like this. If you use the x and y intercept version, you will still get a graph that looks like this. Number 15 is the same thing. The only problem that people have with 15 is that the m isn't shown. Remember, everything can multiply by 1. So y equals mx plus b. Your b's easy to pull out. M was a little tougher for people. But there's your m right there. Your slope value is 1. Remember, everything's over 1. That helps with slope. Your b value or your y-intercept is positive 2. So when you graph this equation, you want to start your b value at positive 2. Notice what else we need. We need to go up 1 since it's positive, and we need to go to the right 1 since that one's positive. So we need to show at least 1 more right here and 1 more right here, and this will be one of our most basic graphs. So start where your b value is 2 or your y-intercept is 2. It tells you to go up 1 time and go to the right 1 time for your second one. There's your second point, and draw yourself a graph through both of them. Number 16 says find the rate of change. Again, just like last week, this one's asking you for the change from 6 miles to 18 miles. So looking at the change here, 18 minus 6 would be 12 miles. And from 1 hour to 3 hours, 3 minus 1 would be 2 hours. So what you have is 12 miles in 2 hours. And then when you simplify that, and again, this one comes out to be just like last week. When you simplify 12 divided by 2, you get 6 miles per 1 hour, which is exactly what it told you at the beginning. But the rate of change is 6 miles per hour, or in this case, it was 12 miles over 2 hours. For this one, you need to find the slope. You're given an equation, or you're given a picture of an equation, a graph of an equation. You need to find the slope. The easiest way to do this without having to use the slope formula is to just count. This is a clear enough picture, and on your paper it's clear enough. Just count. Start at the one that's the farthest to the left. That's this one right here. Remember, it's how many times do you go up or down over how many times do you go left or right. So Going down, we have to go down 1 time, 2 times, 3 times, 4 times. Um, let me take this back a step. On your paper, -3, +1 is not labeled for you. What you need to do is you need to find a part, or you need to find a point that is 2 integer terms as best you can, where it's not going through the middle of any lines. You want to make sure it's going through where 2 lines are crossing. -3, +1 was the best looking one I could find. And also 0, -3 is the one we're going to go to. That's another one that it went through and it wasn't going through the middle of any lines. But what we did just now is we went down 1, 2, 1, 2, we went down 4. So that value would be down 4, which is -4. Then we went, how many times do we go left or right? We're going to go to the right 1, 2, 3 times. We went to the right, so it's a positive number, and it's +3. So your slope is -4/3. Again, for number 18, you had to find 2 points that went through what appeared to be integers, or didn't go through the middle of any lines. You want to make sure it's where two of the lines cross each other best you can. I picked out -1, -2. That was the tough one to pick out. And then the y-intercept was pretty easy at 0, +2. So what you want to do is you want to start at the one that's farthest to the left. That's this one here. And again, how many times do you go up or down over how many times do you go left or right? So we have to go up 1 time, 2 times, 3 times, 4 times, up 4 times, and over 1 time to the right. So our slope for this one is 4/1, which just simplifies to 4. Number 19, now we don't have a picture. Now we have to find the slope. Use the slope formula. M equals y sub 2 minus y sub 1 over x sub 2 minus x sub 1. Easiest way to do that is to label your points, x and y. X and Y. You have to make sure you have X then Y in each one of them. But on this next part, if you do it backwards from what I do, you'll still come out with the right answer. I'll always call the first one sub 1 just to keep it organized, and the second one sub 2. But if you call the first one sub 2 and the second one sub 1, you'll still come out with the same answer at the end. So I'm going to plug in based on what we have up here. The y sub 2 value is this one. So 3 minus y sub 1 value is 4 over x sub 2 value is 9 minus x sub 1 value is 3. When we simplify that, 3 minus 4 is -1, and 9 minus 3 is 6. So your slope is -1/6. Number 20, same problem, just we're dealing with numbers that are not integers. We have decimals up here. Still use the same formula. M equals y sub 2 minus y sub 1 over x sub 2 minus x sub 1. Label your points xy, xy, sub 1, sub 2, and plug your values in. Y sub 2's value is the first one, 11.2, minus y sub 1's value is 1.2, over x sub 2's value is 3.7, minus x sub 1's value is -1.3. Okay, we have a minus a negative right here. Remember, anytime you have minus a negative, that's where problems show up for most people. You have to make sure to include that. It means plus a positive. So 11.2 minus 1.2 is going to be 10. And 3.7 plus 1.3 is going to be 5. 10 divided by 5 is 2, so your slope is 2. Number 21 says student finds a slope of 2 points, 11, 7, and 14, 15, as 7 minus 15 and 14 over 14 minus 11. Which mistake did she make? Well, she has x sub 1, y sub 1, and x sub 2, y sub 2. If she uses the formula y sub 2 minus y sub 1, she should have put 15 minus 7 over x sub 2 minus x sub 1, 14 minus 11. Now it wasn't incorrect for her to have 7 minus 15 as long as she had 11 minus 14 on the bottom. She went the wrong way in one of her times. So either the top one was wrong or the bottom one was wrong, but either way, her order was wrong. Her order was wrong. Number 22, is it a zero slope or undefined? If you need to look at 2 points to understand this, you can do it this way. Remember, it's your rise over your run. How many times does it go up or down? Notice it doesn't go up or down from this point that I just made to the one next to it at all. So it's 0 over, let's say it went over one time. So that's 0 divided by something. So your slope is 0 for that case. Another way, and a much easier way for most people to do it, is you can write a capital Z right there using the line itself. Number 23, again, if you need 2 points, that's okay. Just use this point and this point right here. It doesn't go left or right at all. That's the one at the bottom, but it goes up or down. Let's say it goes up 1. You can't have a 0 at the bottom. That's why it is no slope or it's undefined. You can make a capital N for no slope for that one. So your value is, this would be undefined. Number 24, you need to simplify 6 plus 4 squared plus 7. Do its inside parentheses first, and then you do your order of operations inside your parentheses as well. So 4 times 4 squared would be 4 times 4, which is 16 plus 7. And then do its inside parentheses again. 16 plus 7 is 23 plus 6. And when you put those two together, you get 29. And then the last one, number 25. Evaluate 3x squared minus 4 when x's value is 5. So plug it in. 3 times 5 squared minus 4. 5 squared means 5 times 5, which is 25. That's right next to 3, so it's still multiplying by 3. And 3 times 25, 3 quarters is 75 cents. Minus 4 is, put them together, 71. It's your simplified or final answer.